Hey everyone, and welcome to Getting Started with Virtual Agent and ServiceNow. I'm really excited you're here because today we're going to walk through how to build smart conversational automation using Virtual Agent, NLU, the knowledge base, and a few simple workflows. Whether you're just exploring Virtual Agent or you're ready to get hands on, this session will give you the confidence to build your first fully functional chatbot. Hi, I'm Jonathan Harris, and I'll be your guide for this journey. I'm a ServiceNow architect specializing in AI and automation, and I've been doing this sort of thing for quite a while. I've got over 25 years' experience as a developer, and the last 8 years have been laser focused on building solutions within ServiceNow. I work with both government and commercial clients to solve big, messy problems, and I love turning complex tech into clean, scalable solutions. At the end of the day, my goal is simple: make AI work for you and not the other way around. So, what are we actually going to accomplish today? By the end of this video, you'll know how to build conversational chatbots using ServiceNow's Virtual Agent. We'll cover how NLU works so your bot can understand what the user actually wants. You'll see how to connect it to your knowledge base for quick answers and how to route unresolved requests into workflows or live agent escalations. We'll finish by testing everything together so you can confidently move towards production. Before we dive into the build, let's make sure your instance has the right plugins enabled. There are three that you need. First, the Virtual Agent plugin. This is your chatbot's engine. Second, the Natural Language Understanding plugin, or NLU. This is what allows your bot to actually understand human intent. And finally, the Virtual Agent Designer, which gives you that drag and drop interface for building conversational flows without needing a ton of scripting knowledge. All three are essential for what we're about to do. Alright, licensing. This is one of the most common questions that I get asked. The good news: if you have ITSM Pro or CSM Pro, you're already good to go. Both packages include full virtual agent capabilities, NLU, the designer, and the analytics tools that you'll want for tracking performance. If you're not sure what package you're on, or if you're using something more limited, I'd recommend reaching out to your ServiceNow rep just to confirm what's available in your environment. For today's demo, we're going to keep it simple and practical. We'll build a chatbot that helps users reset their password. It starts with the user typing in something like, "I forgot my password." Our NLU will pick up that intent. The bot will then ask which system they're locked out of, whether it's email, HR, payroll, whatever you define. Then, it'll serve up the appropriate knowledge article. If the issue is resolved, great, they're done. If not, we'll create a case or escalate to a live agent. This one example showcases all the key virtual agent capabilities that you need: intent recognition, user input, KB lookup, and fallback handling. It's a perfect first use case. Let's dive into the system for a hands on demo. We'll begin by heading to the All menu and typing in NLU. From there, you'll click on Models. Pro tip: click the star icon to favorite this menu item so you can quickly return to it later. This will bring you to the NLU workbench, where you'll find all of the models, intents, and utterances. There's a helpful toggle here that lets you show or hide the pre-built models that come with the plugin. Feel free to explore these. Each one includes predefined intents you can review or build on. This dashboard is where you'll manage everything from training your models to testing and publishing it. For now, let's click on Intents. Here, you'll see a list of intents, the number of utterances tied to each, and the object that each one is mapped to. We'll go deeper into mappings in just a bit. For now, we'll click on Show Notifications. You'll see a list of natural phrases a user might say to ask for notifications. The more varied and realistic your utterances are, the better your model will perform in real-world conversations. Alright, let's head back to the Workbench home and create a brand new model. Start by clicking Create New Model. You'll find a few options here. You can build from pre-built models, import from CSV, or start completely from scratch. If you're creating multiple similar models, that import option can be a real time saver. But for today's demo, we'll be starting from a blank slate. Now that the model is created, let's go ahead and close this model and open that model up. Since it's brand new, there's no content yet, so we'll need to click on the intents link and add a new one. Quick heads up, you'll also see an option to import intents here. Keep that in your back pocket before your fingertips start to bleed from all the typing you're about to do. Here we'll type in the name of the intent. And if you notice that I typed in a hashtag, just like the list you saw before, don't panic, that gets automatically added. I had to go back and clean this up later. Make sure not to include the hashtag or you'll have to do the same. All right, intents created. Now let's start adding some utterances. An utterance is just a different way the user might ask for the same thing. To properly train your model, you'll want to have at least 15 utterances, but in reality, more is better. For this demo, I'm going to hand jam them all manually so you can truly appreciate the pain of not using the import feature. Pro tip: if you're building out a whole library of intents, coming up with 20 or more utterances for each one can be exhausting. This is where generative AI can be a lifesaver. Use it to brainstorm variants and cherry pick the ones that actually make sense for your use case. It'll save you a ton of time and typing. Okay, now that the paint is officially dried, let's go ahead and click Train and build that model. Once the training is complete, it's a good idea to spend a few minutes in the Test tab to verify that it behaves as expected. Don't skip this step. If your model isn't trained or tested properly, you will get unexpected results when the virtual agent goes live. Now let's talk about test sets. This is where you'll validate how well your model is performing. You can add test sets right here. And if you want a deeper dive into how to really fine tune this process, there's a helpful video link on the page. I definitely recommend checking that out. It walks through all of the key details. For the purposes of this demo, I'll show you how to manually create test sets so that you understand how it works. Ideally, you'll want to start with at least 15 test sets per intent. That gives you enough data to simulate a realistic variety of user inputs. Your goal? Aim for 100% accuracy, but realistically, anything over 60% is usually enough to ensure a solid user experience. And remember, this isn't a one and done process. Over time, you can use actual user interaction data to improve your model, refine your utterances, and increase that score even further. All right, now we've made it to my favorite part of the whole process, the Virtual Agent Designer. Head back up to that All menu, type in Virtual Agent, and click on Designer. And yep, go ahead and click that star again to favorite it for easy access later. When the designer loads, you'll see a list of pre-built topics. These are out-of-the-box workflows you can use as a baseline if you're just getting started or looking to save some time. But for this demo, we're going to start from scratch so I can walk you through the full build process. When you create a new topic, you'll need to fill in some basic settings: a name, display name, a description, and most importantly, you'll need to map it to your NLU model and the intent that you created earlier. This is where the magic really starts to happen. It's how your utterances are connected to the actual workflow that serves your users. There are some additional settings worth noting here too. You can define user roles, choose which channels the topic's available in, and even set conditions for when the topic should appear. For example, maybe you only want this to trigger for users with a location set to USA, or based on some custom script logic that you've built. If you're integrating with Live Agent, you can also configure what information gets passed along to the agent. so they have all the context they need when the handoff happens. All right, let's go ahead and create the topic and get started. Now that we've got the designer open, let's take a quick tour of the components that are available to us. You'll see that there are three main categories to work with: user inputs, bot responses, and utilities. Let's start by dropping in a bot response. This is the first thing the user will see when the topic is triggered. It sets the tone and creates a smoother, more human like transition, much better than the robotic call center vibes we all remember from the early 2000s. You'll want to give this bot response a name, something that's meaningful that you can understand just by looking at the workflow. And then you can fill out whatever response you'd like to see here. You can incorporate different rich text formatting like lists, bold, italics, links, emojis, etc. Once you have the bot response finished, let's move on to the next step, where we're going to ask the user which system they need their password reset on. This is a key decision point in the conversation. Instead of treating every password reset the same, we're giving users options like Office 365, VPN, HR portal, or any other internal system that your organization supports. This kind of user input opens up the ability to create flexible, scalable workflows that intelligently routes users based on their selection. It also is a great way to reduce the noise in your support queue by guiding people to the right solution without needing a human in the loop. For example, if you choose Office 365, we may show the user a knowledge article or prompt a self service tool. But if they choose something more sensitive like a legacy system or secure VPN, we could route them to a different flow or escalate them to a human even faster. That not only improves the user experience, but it also makes your support operations much more efficient. Now, for this demo, I'm keeping things pretty simple and won't be building out every branch, but I do want to show you how easy it is to add multiple choices using the designer interface. You can define as many systems as you need, and each one can have its own customized logic behind the scenes. Now we're going to bring in the decision utility. This is where the real branching logic happens. It lets you define the different outcomes based on the user's response. You can even add custom conditions or scripts here if you want to build a more dynamic, intelligent interaction. This demo keeps things simple, but don't let that fool you. This utility is incredibly powerful once you dig in. You could define as many systems as you need. Each one can have its own customized logic behind the scenes. You could show a different message, trigger a record producer, display a different KB article, or even perform a custom script action. So, while it might seem basic on the surface, this part of the flow is actually a powerful way to deliver personalized, efficient support right from the very first interaction. There's a lot to explore here, and I definitely recommend taking the time and getting familiar with the different components that are available. Next up, I'm going to link a knowledge article for users who select Office 365. Behind the scenes, I've already grabbed the SysID for the article that I want to display, and I've pasted it into the configuration. In your use case, you may choose to link to an external site, display a different article, or even create an entirely custom experience. It really depends on the system, the audience, and what kind of support path makes the most sense. Here you can see me adding the link to the article and setting the header to give the user some clear context. Then I'm filling in the label for the link. That's the clickable text the user will actually see, such as view instructions or open article. Finally, I type in the URL that I want the link to navigate to. This could be a direct link to a knowledge base article inside of ServiceNow using the SysID, or you could point it to an external help site, company intranet, or a video tutorial hosted on YouTube or your learning platform. You also have full control over the layout and the display behavior of the message, so you can keep the experience lightweight and clean or make it richer and more interactive depending on what the user needs. The cool thing is, this tiny bit of effort adds a lot of polish to your bot and provides users with fast, relevant help exactly when they need it, without needing to open a ticket right away. Now, let's walk through what happens if the user selects Other as the system they're having trouble with. In this case, there's no knowledge article readily available to guide them through the self service. So instead, we need to escalate the issue and create an incident to get them the help that they need. But before we do that, we want to make sure that the agent who picks up the case has enough context to actually work it. So, first, I'm using a bot response component to set the expectation for the user. Just a quick message to explain why we're about to ask a few follow up questions. This helps the experience feel more human and less robotic. Next, we'll follow up with two simple ask question components. First, we'll ask which system they're trying to access. Then, we'll ask for their username or email associated with that system. These two fields give us just enough information to create a meaningful, actionable ticket. In a real world implementation, you may ask additional or entirely different questions depending on the use case or the sensitivity of the system involved. Feel free to play a little 21 questions if that's what it takes to collect the info that your support team needs. All of the answers that your user provides are automatically stored as variables, which you can then use in your workflow, whether you're creating a record, or updating an existing one, or even triggering an integration. Now, I've added another bot response, just to thank the user for answering the questions and to let them know that the bot is creating an incident. This part is optional, but it's a nice touch that closes a loop and adds polish to the experience. Next, we'll drop in the record action utility. This is where the magic happens. We're actually creating the incident record. In the settings, you'll choose whether you're creating or updating a record, which table to write to, in this case, it's the incident table, and which variables to include in the record. You can map these variables directly to specific fields. In this case, I'm targeting the short description and the description field. In the short description, I'm going to say that you need help resetting a password. And in the description, I'm going to include the variables that we discussed earlier. So we'll say that the password needs to be reset for, and choose the input variables and look for name of system. Select the input and it'll be added to the description field. Then you can continue typing and say who it's for, and then click back on the selector and choose username from the input earlier. Once a record is created, we want to display the output back to the user so they can immediately see their ticket number and even click through to the ticket page if needed. This step is crucial for delivering a complete end-to-end experience. It takes the user from simply asking for help to getting an instant confirmation that their request is logged and it's on its way to being resolved. Here I'm building out a card response to present the details in a clean, visual format. I'm pulling in the number, the short description, and the description, all pulled dynamically from the record that we just created. The card layout makes it easy to read and gives the user a feeling of closure and control. Most importantly, I'm including a direct link to the ticket page, so the user can view their case at any time, track updates, or even add comments if the portal allows it. This not only boosts transparency, but it also reduces the follow up inquiries like, hey, did my ticket go through? Or how do I check my status? Because the user hasn't had the information right in front of them right away. These kinds of thoughtful touches go a long way in building trust with your end users and showing that the virtual agent isn't just functional, it's helpful. And finally, we'll wrap up with one last bot response just to thank them for using the virtual agent and let them know that someone will follow up shortly. In this case, I already have an abort message configured that thanks the user and wraps up the conversation nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this extra end interaction message. Just a quick note, this type of cleanup is helpful when you want different topics to end in different ways, depending on the user's journey. Some flows might benefit from a warm thank you message or even a next step suggestion, while others might just need to quietly wrap up. It's all about tailoring the experience to fit the context of the interaction. Now I'm going to test the topic that we just built. As always, be sure to test the topic multiple times using different inputs and branches to make sure that everything behaves as expected. For the sake of time in this demo, I'm going to walk through the other selection to show you how the incident record is created. As you can see, the bot is now prompting me with the questions that we configured earlier, asking which system I need help accessing and what my username or email is for that system. I'll go ahead and type in my responses directly to the chat, and behind the scenes, the virtual agent is using those inputs seamlessly to build the incident record. Over on the right-hand panel, you can actually see each of my responses being stored as variables in real time. This is what makes it so easy to map the user inputs to fields on the record, and to reuse that data later in the flow if needed. Now you can see that the card is being displayed to the user, showing all of the relevant case information tied to the incident record we just created. This includes the ticket number, a brief description, and any other details that we choose to display, making it easy for the user to confirm their request was submitted successfully. If the user clicks the link on the card, it will by default take them directly to the ticket page in the portal, depending on how your instance is configured. From there, the user can view updates, add additional comments, or even attach files if they need to provide more context to the support team. It's a small touch, but it brings everything full circle, giving the user not just a sense of closure, but a sense of control. And that's the goal of good automation. Not just deflecting tickets, but empowering users with the tools and transparency they need to help themselves, while still knowing that there's a team behind the scenes if they need it. Now that we've successfully tested our topic, the final step is to publish it. When you click the Publish button, you'll notice a quick reminder from ServiceNow encouraging you to test your NLU model and ensure the best possible user experience. If you haven't already tested and published your model, there's even a shortcut link that'll take you right back to the NLU workbench so you can finish everything up properly. But in our case, everything looks good. So let's go ahead and publish the topic along with all the associated data. Now let's make sure your virtual agent is actually visible in the service portal. Out of the box, there's no chatbot button on the screen. You'll have to add that manually to the pages where you want the virtual agent to be available. So let's open up the portal designer and we'll add the virtual agent widget directly to the page. This only needs to be done once per page, not per topic. So it's a one-time setup for each portal section where you want the chat access. In the left-hand filter, just type virtual and you'll see the widget appear. From there, simply drag and drop it onto the page layout at the bottom. The page designer automatically saves your changes. Head back to the portal, give it a refresh, and just like that, your virtual agent button is live and ready to go. Now that everything is published, let's do one final test to make sure that it works as expected, this time by selecting Office 365. As soon as I choose that option, the bot returns the knowledge article link that we configured earlier. Clicking it launches the article in a new tab, giving the user instant access to self-service help. Exactly what we want from a modern, efficient chatbot experience. And that's it. We've officially built and deployed a fully functional virtual agent topic in ServiceNow from scratch. Thanks so much for watching. If you're looking for more ServiceNow tips, tricks, and straight up real talk, check out Dev Life Crisis. That's where I'll be posting more deep dives just like this one. And don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like, and share it with your team. I'm Jonathan Harris. I'll catch you on the next one.